So I'd love to know if any of you have reached the proverbial glass ceiling, because I have, and that's what this podcast is all about today.
The Little Root Lab is a homegrown, self-learning journey into IT and cybersecurity, narrated by Simon Arnold. It is being built from the ground up, documenting progression through systems, networking, and SOC concepts as it develops, including the mistakes, the learning process, and the real-world growth that comes with it. It is hoped that viewers find value in the series and are able to take something useful from the journey as it unfolds. Enjoy.
I really did hit the glass ceiling, everyone. Welcome back to the Little Root Lab, and big changes going on right now. If you've been following me recently, my journey this week is really my 8th month in learning, self-learning for cybersecurity. And I did hit the glass ceiling, and I hit it pretty heavily actually, but fortunately it's only a glass ceiling, so it's possible to go through it. Let me just explain why, and let me explain how the differences have actually turned out to make the month of June a lot different to the other months prior. So if you listen to the last couple of podcasts, I've been doing Threat Hunter, and that lies in between actually SOC Analyst Tier 1 and at the beginning phases of SOC Analyst Tier 2. If you listen to the podcast very early on, I think first couple of episodes really, I had an interview with an HR manager at my 4.5 month of self-directed study, and she said, "You've applied for this job as SOC Analyst Tier 1 Junior." I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Let me just have a look and see what's happening with that role." And she did, and she came back and she said, "It's a SOC Analyst 2, Tier 2, and I'm not giving it to you." And I said, "That's absolutely fine. I'm just looking for a junior role." Still looking for a junior role, everyone out there who's interested. And maybe this could be the turning point of the podcast where actually I become more viable for a job. So I completely understood that, SOC Tier 2 was too much. Obviously, you can't run before you have learned how to walk, And, the threat hunting took a huge amount of cognitive energy away from me. I could really just, feel the energy seeping away from me. And within an hour I was finished, Couldn't really do much for the rest of the day either, so it's just pottering around with other tasks, away from the computer. But it's been fun, I've got Wazoo running on Kubuntu, and I'm running the Wazoo manager and not the dashboard and whatever, the indexer. I'm not running that because I've only got 16 gig of memory. I just had lunch, so maybe my head's a bit full. And also installing Sysmon on Windows 10. Also a lot of fun, really, really good. But both machines, Windows 10 and Kubuntu, are streamlined. It's brilliant. And from today on, they're on for the whole day. If you've ever been building a lab, or you're currently building a lab, you may find through self-learning that you want to get into the industry and you're turning on the computer and you're doing an hour and then you shut off the system and then go and do something else. Maybe you're starting like me with one computer and just seeing, how Python scripts react when you write different things on the command line. It could be that way as well. But you do build. And if you decide to stay with cybersecurity, things do get better and you do refine stuff anyway. So this is like really the 4th lab that I've built within an 8th month period. I'm glad it's all there. My next step is going to be a ThinkPad. I think it's a T140, and that's going to have 32 gigs of RAM. But that's way off into the future when I get my first position. So I'm looking forward to getting my first ThinkPad in the future. It's always good to know where your trajectory is going. So the proverbial glass ceiling with the threat threat work. Um, Interesting, using Wazoo and also Sysmon. Um, Windows 10 has been fantastically interesting, really. When you look, I think it's you certainly go through the administrator for the PowerShell, and with Sysmon, when you actually go into, I think it's Event Viewer actually, go down to Microsoft, go down to Sysmon, open up Sysmon, and you can see all the logs. And seeing ones and the fives are great, and it was lovely. It was kind of like the end of the stage in a way. So things have turned round for me immediately since my reflection this morning. And instead of doing 1 hour here, turn off the computer, next hour when the cognitive load is all right to use, just learning. There's not really, I don't want to learn any more new things, if that makes sense. And doing the threat work really is the ceiling that I've reached, and I don't want to go anymore because I really couldn't think about anything else. Like, I did not have the cognitive ability as a threat hunter to go further than that at this time. I tell you what, I have to pat myself on the back. That's pretty good. I haven't got any guidance. I haven't. I'm just doing this all by myself. So today the computers are on all the time. If you're setting up a lab, make sure you set also some time during the day to get out, get some fresh air. I've already been for a nice walk, 45 minutes, got some groceries as well, and I'm back at home. I chatted to a few people as well this morning because I knew that I'm going to be sitting down with the lab and just pottering through a few things this afternoon. So what's the next stage? Well, I've actually applied for a job in Cologne today, and that's a home office job. And this job is actually based on Microsoft Defender and Sentinel, and it's a very good company. If I get the job, I'll tell you more about it. But one job a day, every single day, is a good rule of thumb, I find, to get into the industry, as well as doing the lab work, as well as doing what I'm doing here. So the plan, first week plan, shall I tell you all about it? It's not really learning any more things now. It's consolidating and reviewing the 300 pages of notes that I've taken over 8 months. I had a look a couple of days ago. There is a hell of a lot of information about Wireshark. I don't know how I missed Wireshark. I think what happened was that I was running Wazoo Manager on the Kubuntu, on the Linux Kubuntu, with indexer and dashboard, and I just didn't have any available memory to do anything else. It was just failing all the time. So I think Wireshark is definitely something to look into this week. I will be refining and just looking at my notes as I have half a day off tomorrow just to see what's going on there. Looking forward to that, and also looking forward to looking at I don't know whether you call it the codes or the logon numbers or whatever. I think the numbers like 4625 and those numbers starting with 46 and 05 and everything else, like I think it's successful login or log on or whatever, and made notes on that, of course, but just really coming back to, like a boomerang, coming back to the original information that was theory to start with, and now is just it's settled in my brain. I just need to not necessarily just memorize those numbers, but actually be aware of what happens when those numbers arise, and what can we do about it, and explain it to a third party. During interviews, it's really important as well to just explain that. I just got to look at my phone as well, because there is quite a good system that I've heard that people use quite often, and I just wanted to bring that up as well. And that's called Star. So and by the way, everyone, I've had 5 successful interviews. The only reason I didn't get any of the jobs is because of actual hands-on practical experience, and it's difficult. It's difficult. You can't get real world experience in a company if you haven't even had that opportunity yet, you know. So STAR, you may have heard of STAR. It's the interview answer format, really. So the first one, S, is situation. Describe the situation or context you were in. T is task. Explain the task or responsibility you needed to accomplish. Action, describe the specific actions you took to address the task. And result, share the results of your actions and the impact you achieved. And I've been pretty much doing that anyway. In the interviews, I've consolidated and reflected all my knowledge as I've gone on. I haven't I've been debugging some things as well, and Metasploit nearly blew up my whole GPU. Well, it did for 3 hours, and then it cooled down and it was able to work again. So unfortunately, fortunately, this is where the fans come in for those CPUs when they're running hot. But all of these things are like now consolidated, and now I can move forwards, really. So if you're building a lab, hopefully that helped. If you're looking for someone for SOC Analyst Tier 1, write to me in the comments. I put on LinkedIn as well. Test me. Test me. Test my knowledge base. I'm going to be doing... what am I going to be looking at? I'm going to be installing Wireshark. And I'll be looking at the login, successful login, 4605 or whatever it is. I'm just going to be refreshing my memory with those. I think 8 different, 4-digit numbers, really, but not just, memorize them, actually know what I'm looking at in like a live situation as well. So hopefully that helped. I'll be doing week 2 when I'm up to week 2. Have to see how this week goes, but it's fantastic to have the computers all up and ready, running the whole day. I know I'll be starting with sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade in a minute, as I've just got back to sitting at my computer after a cup of coffee, and it's good times everyone. So remember, it's not always about theory. You're going to learn a lot to begin with, and it could take a lot of months, could do. But if you really love it, and it really actually chills me out, and if it does chill you out as well, maybe it's a good career route for you too. Even my youngest kid is calling me, what is it, the tech nerd, and it's lovely to hear. So thanks all for listening, and I'll catch you very soon.